Welcome to a PreventConnect podcast, where we explore the prevention of violence against women. This is a project of the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault.
Hi everyone, this is Ashley Klein-Jimenez from PreventConnect,
and I'm Meg Foster from PreventConnect, and today we will be talking to Meg Foster, the Prevention Program Coordinator at the Oregon Attorney General's Sexual Assault Task Force. She's here with us today at PreventConnect, giving us a preview of the workshop that she will be conducting at the National Sexual Assault Conference, that's the NSAC, happening in June at Dallas, Texas.
So, hi Meg! Thank you so much for joining us today. How are you?
Doing well. How are you both?
Awesome.
I'm doing great, thanks.
Great.
Yeah, thank you so much. So,
glad to be here.
Yay. Well, we're so glad to have you. And I mean, if you would just kind of start off by giving us a little information about the prevention track that you're going to be presenting, that would be awesome.
Sure. So I'm doing a presentation at NSAC called Teaching Good Sex, a Method for Violence Prevention. And this presentation really came out of the work that we've been doing in Oregon for the last several years to align sexual health promotion and sexual violence prevention. And in the last about a year and a half, 2 years, since Erin's Law was passed here in Oregon, aligning those efforts with child sex abuse prevention as well. So developing kind of the strategy to align these different efforts as well as incorporate health promotion into our violence prevention efforts more effectively. So I'll be talking a little bit about that, the strategies we use, and kind of the path that has led us here and the partnerships that has led us to these connections here in Oregon. We hosted our first statewide summit on sexual health promotion and sexual violence prevention last October, and so this is kind of a natural extension of that work. We'll also be talking about some of the approaches we specifically use here at the Sexual Assault Task Force to incorporate sexual health promotion, not only into our violence prevention efforts, but into our advocacy efforts and all that we do here. So that's kind of what we'll be talking about.
So when I was looking at the NSAC program and read the little description about the workshop, I really loved the idea of a vision of healthy pro-social communities, and think it's so important to hold space for prevention practitioners to talk about healthy sexuality and the types of behaviors that we do want to see, because I think in prevention sometimes we talk a lot about what we don't want, but it's just as important, maybe more so, to talk about what we do want. So that sounds really exciting.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel like everyone here in Oregon has probably heard me say numerous times, it's not enough to say what we don't want people to do. We have to replace that with what we want people to do. And it's been a very interesting journey working with our sexual health promotion educators in our communities and some of the places where they've identified gaps in their violence prevention education, and then in the violence prevention side, the gaps that we've noticed in the sexual health promotion. So trying to bring those together and bridge those gaps in services.
Awesome. So who do you think should attend your workshop? Like, who would best benefit from this unique, prevention method, especially keeping in mind the health perspective, the public health, or even in terms of the sexual, healthy sexuality, right? We spoke about.
Yeah. I think folks who are interested in aligning this work and have some sort of groundwork in place are probably going to benefit the most from it. I think folks as well who haven't done any of this alignment in their states probably would benefit from this and just learning about what we're doing and the strategies we're implementing across the state. And it may not be true for every state or effective for every state, but getting some ideas and strategies for how to start incorporating these, especially from a perspective of scarcity of resources. One of the things that we've really discovered is that sometimes violence prevention can't happen in communities, but certain communities have grants to implement sexual health promotion programming. And so working together to kind of align those and build community education teams so that these are all connected and that our communities are doing some sort of work in some capacity. So I think people who are interested in doing this work or interested in learning more, I think more and more coalitions and local-based programs are asked to address Erin's Law and child sex abuse prevention as well. And so learning or thinking about some strategies to align that work and implement those pieces together, and not reinvent the wheel. So if you're doing something, recognizing how it's impacting those other parts of those other efforts. So I think people who are interested in doing the work and people who already have some foundation to do the work, we have kind of a unique framework in Oregon to be able to do this work, and I recognize that that is definitely not true in other states. And so developing some strategies and knowing about our process to get here might be really beneficial to those folks.
That's great. That sounds like a very educational, very fascinating workshop.
Thank you. I hope so.
So I think that I know you've been to NSAC before because I'm pretty sure that's where we met.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah. But what are you most excited about this year or most looking forward to?
Yeah, I think that's I'm glad you provided that segue because I think that this will be my third year at NSAC, and just the connections and the relationships that I've built over those last couple of years has always been really great to reconnect with folks. And I think it's really easy for us here in Oregon to end up being in our Oregon bubble and not really knowing what's going on in the rest of the state. So I think that's my favorite part, is just getting together with folks across the country and learning about what they're doing and reconnecting and seeing how I think so often it's like, oh, we're doing this, and being like, wait, I want to hear more about that because it totally informs everything I do. So I think that's what I'm most excited for, just seeing folks again and learning about what's going on around the country.
That is a really great part of NSAC, is making those connections and seeing folks that you've made connections with in the past, but sometimes it hasn't been in person. It's been through an email list or a web conference. So that's really exciting. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. I know I wish you a lot of luck with your workshop, and I really look forward to attending myself. So yeah, thank you, Meg.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this PreventConnect podcast. PreventConnect is a project of the California Coalition Against Sexual Assault, with funding from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The views presented on PreventConnect are not necessarily the views of the United States government, the CDC, or CalCASA. To learn more about PreventConnect, visit www.preventconnect.org. For more information about CalCASA's mission, or to show your support, visit calcasa.org. That's CalCasa.org.